welcome to the Connect to Engage video chat series, all about communication and how critical it is across industries and professions. My name is Jennifer Murphy, and I am a corporate speech and language pathologist. And joining me today is my friend Todd Utikal, who is in the restaurant industry. We are in the middle of two holidays. It is currently November of 2023. We just finished up Thanksgiving, and the Christmas holidays are about to kick off. And so we thought this was a perfect opportunity to talk to restaurant owners and how communication is playing a huge role, especially currently during the holidays. Todd, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks. Nice to be here. Actually, I'm here in my own office, so I'm here.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, great. Tell me about your role in the restaurant industry and why you got into it.
I will go back real quick to 25, almost 30 years ago. I was a banquet waiter at Lafayette Park Hotel while going to St. Mary's College. Go Gales.
Yeah, go Gales.
That's right. So I did that job to get a job on a cruise ship, and I ended up working on cruise ships for 3 years. And hang on real quick. You might have to pause.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
This is live. This is live.
Yes, sorry. We have an active restaurant going on right now. So anyway, worked on ships for 3 years, and I'll just say I love the hospitality industry. I love giving people a great experience. There you go. You got that too. And so I ended up in 2 other jobs for 20 years, and about 7 years ago, I just felt there was something missing in our town, not my life, but something missing in our town. And we would go to other restaurants in other towns, and I would think, why isn't this in our little town? And I finally I think I did it, not because of getting out of anything else, really. I just felt if it needed to be done, why not me? And and I promised to put all the right people in the room to make it happen, and all the right people showed up. And so we opened Sidetrack Bar and Grill literally 5 years and 10 days ago today.
Wow. So, happy anniversary.
Yeah, just hit the 5 years, which is a big number in a very awkward 5-year time period, right? With everything that happened.
Very awkward, very awkward. And let me say that the restaurant is fabulous, and it is always busy and always crowded, and excellent food.
Could be busier though. It could be busier always.
Everybody, come on down.
More people.
No. Talk to me about communication, and what role does communication play within the day-to-day operations of your workday?
It's funny. I was thinking a lot about that, obviously knowing what you guys focus on. And I won't say the restaurant is harder than any other industry. I haven't thought enough about other industries, but I've been in several industries myself. And the unique thing is not everybody shows up at this business on the same day, Monday through Friday. So you're communicating to a revolving door. We also have language barrier from the kitchen, who's mostly Spanish. And so you're dealing with that. You're dealing with friends and family that decide to come work for you. That's very different. And then I hire high school kids. We've got kids that are 16, and I've got people that are 50 that work for me in front of house. So different experience, different ages, different languages, different cultures. And I absolutely love it. And I think most people would agree that except for the military, you can't speak to everybody the same way. You can't get the best out of people with one style of communication. And so I have found different ways to get the most out of people. I've always believed utilize your resources. And so what's the most I can get out of these folks to love their job, to love being here, and give my guests the best experience? And how do I share what I want that translates to them in different ways?
So talk a little bit about that. So what are the different modes that you use to communicate? I mean, I'm assuming that teenagers like the text, like
so yeah, and I don't. So when they're here, it's one-on-one. So sometimes I notice some people are they want to be in groups for communicating of here's what we now need to do for cleaning up, setting up, breaking down the restaurant. I'll tell you a quick story, and it was something that you and I talked about. What is a success story you might have had with communication? And it was one of the 17-year-olds, I would say, probably a junior or senior in high school. And I sat him down in the office and I said, I want you to know you are my worst employee. And most people would think, what a horrible way to go about it. Now, I would
It's
not
a
have
good
done that.
start. It's an
I would
interesting
not have
start.
done that with probably 40 other people that work for me. But I knew this kid. I know he's an athlete. And
Mm,
that I paused. I let that sink in for a moment. And then I
mm-hmm,
said, but I don't think that's who you are.
mm,
And I said, so now I'm going to tell you. So then we went on and had a very, very honest conversation since I started off
mm-hmm.
low, right? By the time we had that conversation, we hugged and I said,
Yeah.
now go do what I think you are. That kid
Wow.
ended up being one of the best employees I've ever had. And it goes, and I was able to translate a story in that conversation. I worked at Costco my junior
Mm,
year at St. Mary's and at 4 o'clock in the morning. And with everything
mm-hmm.
going on in college and life and parties and everything else, I was a lousy employee and I fought to get that job.
Yeah.
And which a lot of the kids do here. We have actually a nice stack of resumes, so we don't have an issue finding people. Very very lucky there. But I was a terrible employee. I was tired. I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about tests and everything else.
Right.
And they sat me down and said, Todd, come on, man. What are you doing? Why are you even here? And I remember it hit me. They didn't say it exactly,
Mm,
that's not you, but I knew it wasn't me. 2 months later, they asked me to be a manager. And
mm,
and I felt that for these kids, that sometimes they just need that reminder of who they are. I don't know.
yeah. No, and you learned from a previous work experience, and that
Yeah,
worked for you. But also, you knew to speak to that particular employee in those words because you knew he
right.
could take it and that it would resonate.
Totally. And you have to know that person versus my bartender versus my
Yeah.
busser,
Yeah.
someone who's been in the industry for 15 years and someone who this is their first job of their life.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think that is a skill set that is important. I think I have that to be able to communicate with all different folks with all different agendas. Why are you here? And understanding why someone's here.
I think about you in communication when I see you in the restaurant and big personality, you got a smile on your face, you're joking, it can't always feel that way
Right.
inside. So tell me about how
Yeah.
how do you
But I also,
communicate?
yeah, another quick story. I'm a story guy.
I know.
One of the days, I believe it was 1995. I was brand new on cruise ships, and there was a deck party, a sail away party out of Fort Lauderdale, and it was a whole new 1,200 passengers just got on. We just got rid of 1,200 that morning, and you turn the ship over that same day. And I'm in my cabin, and all of a sudden on CNN, it was the Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh,
And really one of the first big terrorist
yeah.
events, right, that in our lifetimes that we can remember. And
Yeah.
I went, oh my God, I'm sitting here watching this thing, and I just couldn't believe it. I go, I got to go up there and teach the Macarena. So, and but then I said to myself,
Yeah.
right now the people that are up on deck have no idea this happened,
Right.
and right now they're excited. They just flew from God knows where and got on a cruise ship, and they deserve the best experience possible. And
Yeah.
I tell my girls all the time when we're having a bad family moment, okay, everybody, let's flip the switch.
Okay.
That's done. We talked about it. It's over. And so for that same thing, even when I just might have had, a bathroom back up on me, or something happened in the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen, or someone didn't show up last minute. You're right. There's times where I am not happy about some things going on. Who knows, personal life too.
Sure.
But you flip the switch, and this is a job where you are on.
Yeah.
People are there to have a good time, and they deserve it. No
Yeah.
matter what's
People.
going on in your life, give them a great hour and a half is what and that's what I translate to all the people that work here. I said, you don't know where they just came from. There was
Mm-hmm.
a funeral. Was it a fight in the car on the way? Was it
Mm-hmm.
for something else? Give them a great hour and a half and treat them like it's your mom and dad or your grandma and grandpa that just walked in the door. And I hope that translates to a lot of the people that work for us.
Absolutely. And all day long, again and
All day,
again
yeah.
and again and
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It's not just an hour and a
Yeah.
half for them. For you, it's the full
Right.
day. The full
Big
day.
word I throw at them is sincerity. Sell with sincerity is
Right.
something I came up with a while back, which is if you're trying to say, oh, push the prime rib, but if the kid really doesn't eat prime rib, then
Right.
tell them about something you love on the menu. Then you're being sincere, and there's nothing
Sure.
better that will sell than that.
Sure. Um, what's the biggest mistake that people who are in your occupation make when it comes to communication?
Opening a restaurant. No, I'm just kidding. Biggest mistake. Um, assuming they heard you,
Mm,
assuming they know. And we always say, make an ass out of you and me, the word assume, right?
yeah.
Um, and that is something I went, how do they not know that? Um,
What do you mean? How did they not know that? What do you mean by that?
It could be changes on our menu. It could be our hours. It could be that we don't take
Mm,
reservations and they took a
mm-hmm,
reservation. It could be
mm,
so many things that I just know,
yeah,
and happens in our lives, right? With our husbands, our wives, our kids is
sure,
of course you knew I was doing, well, no, why would you assume that? And even when we might have on day one taught them where things are, or if this runs out, there's more in the shed out back, or
sure.
and then they don't know. But you forget that on their first day they were nervous as all get out. So
Hmm.
assuming they know because you told them, or that someone else must have told them by now,
Sure.
happens all the time. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing is communication to we have about 50 employees,
Mm,
mostly part-time. That some of the kids might work 1 day a week, some work three, 4-hour shifts, 5-hour shifts. So it is difficult in this industry to
mm-hmm,
communicate all of your feelings, all of the changes, something that happened on a Yelp review the other day that you want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
sure.
It's very difficult to communicate in this industry because it's not everybody's on it Monday at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Sure, sure.
That's
And you're talking
you know,
about internal communication, which is very important, within
yeah,
within. What about external communication? Like how do you communicate to the community that
right.
you have an event coming out or that there's a special, that external communication.
Yeah. I mean, going to the basics, we have a sign on the door that mentions Oktoberfest is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I've got customers, which I can't believe it sometimes, that are here literally 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, and we're only
Sure.
open 6 days a week. And and I mentioned it to one of them the other day, and I said, "Oh, we got this thing," and he says, "Oh, how do I find out about this stuff? You never tell anybody." I said, "It's been on the door for 2 weeks." He goes, "Oh, I just walk in the door," but it's a great lesson
Right.
that I assumed he must have seen that. But people are walking in the door, they're watching their step, they're helping someone in the door, So
Yeah,
that's
may miss it.
number one. Then of
Yeah,
course there's your Instagram and your Facebook, and we're
sure.
constantly trying to get better at that messaging.
Yeah,
That's short, sweet, it's constant. I'm not a fan of, constant social media, and yet everybody tells you that's
I
how you
know.
have to get your message out there. And
Right.
so we're trying all those. We just updated our website, and
Yeah.
but yeah, we're trying to hopefully nothing better than word of mouth. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
absolute best
Yep.
is people said, "Oh, we came here because so and so is one, blah blah," blah. And I love that. And we're still getting new customers that heard about us from any of those, resources.
Well, you're not a chain. You're not like a restaurant chain that has the notoriety. You are a small business in a town that thrives on word of mouth. So one thing that I wanted to compliment you on, and you had said that the 5 years and we had the pandemic, you were very, very strong in the world of YouTube. Or you
Oh,
get out there with your you did a really great job. You had your what did you have? You had
oh God, my spoon is a microphone.
yeah,
Yeah,
your spoon is a microphone. You were interviewing people. You did a really great
yeah,
job getting out there and letting
yeah.
people know
Well,
what
I
you were doing.
I think when all that happened, I remember going, okay, at that time my girls were, I don't even know, at 9 and maybe 9
Yeah,
and 12. And the last thing I would have wanted is for them to worry, including my wife. Like, don't worry, everything's fine. We'll figure this out. I mean, none of us really knew where was this going. But
sure.
I just thought, go be funny, go make people laugh, make them
Yeah,
think that everything's okay.
yeah.
And we did that. And then when we couldn't put people in the restaurant, we had cardboard cutouts with faces of the Beatles. We had my grandma on sitting table with 49ers out
It
there.
was
So we
great.
filled with cardboard cutouts, you remember. And
It
then
was great.
we were only allowed to sell half the restaurant, 50% occupancy at some point, who knows what's right and wrong about that whole time. But we figured let's fill up the other 50% with these cutouts. And so
Yeah.
people would walk in and feel like it was a full restaurant and gave them that vibe that everything's okay again. And that felt really good. I didn't realize the impact those silly ideas had on people's disposition, just, feeling better when they came out.
Right.
So
Well,
felt good.
again, you were communicating to the
Yeah.
to people that felt in a time of uncertainty. It was really great. Okay. Anything else that you wanted to mention about communication as far as successes or failures in the restaurant? I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah. As I kind of mentioned, how I address that one person in, a negative way.
Sure.
But most of the time when I get, 5 new kids we hire usually in the spring, because we know we got kids that are going to graduate, go off to college, we're going to fill these spots, right? And
Yeah.
instead of worrying about and stressing about that, we just sort of know, okay, that's part of our job is,
Mm-hmm.
keeping these spots filled. And the first conversations I will have with all of them, who many are very uncomfortable picking up the phone, talking to
Mm-hmm.
someone, face to face when they walk in the door, welcome to Sidetrack. You realize that might be really easy for me and you, but
Yeah.
as you've met people throughout your career, right, that's not most people's comfort zone.
No. Mm-mm.
But doesn't it even like when they do surveys of biggest fears, it usually beats death out.
Yes.
Speaking in
Speaking.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I always tell them is it's not about the verbs or verbiage and communicating. You communicate in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, right now, what I hope has inspired many of them is I said, the older generation thinks you guys aren't adding up. You are on your phones, you can't communicate, texting is all you can do. They've lost some faith in you, and they all nod. They all feel that
Mm-hmm.
pressure from people,
Mm-hmm.
let's say 60 and older.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so when you come to work here for a 3-hour shift or 4-hour shift, I want you to move at a pace. We all know the teenagers, drift. And I said, I want you
Yeah.
to move with purpose. I want you to be smiling. I want you to connect with people and see if they need water, if they need their plates cleared, communicate with them and make them leave that restaurant after an hour and a half of looking around and say,
Mm-hmm.
wow, makes me emotional, actually. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's some hope. These kids are good kids.
Yeah.
They're working hard. And people will say, God, Todd, the kids work so hard for you. And it's not
Yes.
just the kids. I think my 30-year-olds that were, whatever,
Sure.
and late 20s. I just hope that they see that when I walk from point A to point B, it's not a stroll. I don't want anyone to feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable with the
Right.
speed, but I want them to, and I think that is really I think it's worked. I think a lot of the high school kids,
Yes.
they give me this look like, yeah, I'll show them, right?
Yes. Yes. I love
So
that.
I
And I
enjoyed
think
that.
that they're not only learning from you from the words that you say and you tell them, but they're also
Yeah.
watching. I've seen them observe you and they're taking the energy that you have and they're learning from that.
Yeah.
It's
No
great.
better than learn by example, right? Communicate
Mm-hmm.
by example.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well
yeah.
done. All right. Well, just
All
tell
right.
me, let's just wrap it up. And I want to hear something on your bucket list. What do you got?
Does it
This is gonna
have
be
to be
good.
restaurant related?
God, no.
Okay, good.
Goodness, no. I don't know. What we say?
But I want this to keep going. I hope this is just becomes this absolute staple in town. But in the
Yes.
meantime, writing is a passion for me, and
Mm.
I've been working on an animated movie script for a few months, and that I've thought about for a few years. And so I want to make sure I get pen to paper and see if I can make a movie out there. So there you go. That's random.
It's not. It actually fits. It fits. It's not random. And I guarantee you are one person that will make it happen. So I'm excited to watch and read,
All right.
You want
You're one of
an
my first
editor?
readers.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much, Todd. This is a very busy time of year, like I said, for the restaurant industry. I knew
Yeah.
you would be a fabulous person to interview because I admire the way that you run your restaurant and the way that you communicate in the community and to your employees. I've seen it firsthand. So thank you so much for being a part of this and explaining how critical communication is in the restaurant industry and throughout the rest of life, I guess, no matter who
Yeah.
you're talking to. So again, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me.
Thanks for thinking of me. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi to the family.